you. Jesus, I'm putting my hands to yours, believing in so much more, knowing that all you have in store for me is good. It's good. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I won't worry about tomorrow. I'm trusting in what you say. Today is the day. Today is the day. I will stand upon your truth. I will stand upon your truth. And all my days I'll live for you. All my days I'll live for you. And I will stand upon your truth. I will stand upon your truth. And all my days I'll live for you. All my days I'll live. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I won't worry about tomorrow. I'm giving you my fears and sorrows. Where you lead me, I will follow. I'm trusting in what you say. Today is the day. 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 You're calling me over. You're pulling me close. With love you surround me. You give me hope. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good morning. Hey. Welcome back to church, you talkers, you. Listen, we've been doing this little itty-bitty series I've called Family, and what we started with was the idea that there is an idea that God has in mind for how the church can really share a life together. We call that word fellowship, sharing life together around this common understanding of who Christ is. It shapes how we interact with each other. It shapes what we teach and encourage and what we expect. It's everything to us. And so maybe you're not right there yet, but if you're not a Christian and you're just listening today, then hey, this is going to be kind of eye-opening. What are these weirdos really about? Well, I'm telling you every week what these weirdos are really about. So we've been doing this little bit called Family, and these last few weeks I've been covering some of the things that stop people from ever experiencing this beautiful representation of Christ in a group of people. And we've talked about what it is to be burned, because many people have been burned by people in the past, find it very, very difficult to become close, and we put up these walls around ourselves. And we've talked about wearing a mask and the temptation of pride to, prevent anybody from really seeing anything into us. Okay, today what I want to talk about is another huge, big brick wall that stops so many people from really experiencing close fellowship. And it's called time. Oh, you didn't think I was going to talk about that one, did you? Yeah, we're going to talk about time. Sometimes I think if I just had a little bit more time, I would be such an amazing person. Like at the end of every day, there would be nothing left undone that I should have done. I would do all these amazing, I would be so awesome. You have no idea in my mind how awesome I would be if I just had a little bit more time. Maybe you've felt like that sometimes. Yesterday was my big day, Saturday. It was going to be, it's going to be amazing. You laughed because it's true. You've thought this, right? I was going to get up at about 6:20. I was going to go out into the great outdoors, and I was going to cut firewood for the house for a couple of hours. And then when that was done, now, by the way, I was going to bring some family with me, so it's, it's kind of a family outdoor thing, right? And then when that was done, I was going to go and catch a little coffee, and I was going to work on the car in the garage for a couple hours, right? Because I need some brake stuff, right? So I'm going to work on that for a while. And then when that's done, it's going to be about lunchtime. And then I'm just going to chill out. Hey, maybe we'll go find something to do together as a family, go to Clayton and walk around or whatever, right? So I wake up about 6:20. I look outside. It's pouring rain. Pouring rain. Like nasty, like full slicker on galoshes rain, right? I'm not going out there. I ain't going to be out there in the mud. No, I'm not going to do that. So I sleep till 8:30. I pop up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do something. So I get into the garage. And I start working on that car. I put my phone down in one spot. And I get my hands greasy. I'm not picking that thing up again until I'm done. That's my little thing. I'm not picking the phone up until I'm done. So I'm getting toward done. And I'm like, yes, it's done. I did it. I defeated the rusty bolts and all that stuff. I'm done. My wife's going to be so happy. The thing works again. And so I start to wipe off my hands, and I pick up that phone, and it says 5:58 p.m. And I go, no! They got me again. It's those people that steal the time. Do you know what I'm talking about? They take it. I don't know where they take it. Is it the Time Variance Authority? I don't know what it is. But they sneak it. You're doing something, and all of a sudden the time is gone. I get back in the house. My wife says, well, we're going to be about ready to eat dinner in, 30 minutes or so. I'm like, no! Where'd it go? I was going to be calling family and catching up with people and doing all this great stuff. And, it's dinner. And, of course, once dinner's over, then it's time to get little people to bed. And then that takes forever. And then it's just, your day, it's over. Sometimes I feel like if I had just a little, couple more hours between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, there's already 2, but if there were just like 2 more, I could do all these amazing things and catch up with people and call people up I haven't talked to and make sure they're doing okay and look for people to encourage. Who could I encourage? Who could I encourage? I know who needs some encouragement. I'm going to call up that guy. I'm going to do it right now. I'd be great. And maybe you feel like that sometimes too. And honestly, I, for many years, looked through life and go, someday I'm going to have enough time to do the important thing that I think I really should do. Someday, some way, the gates will open up and there will be more time. Maybe I'm going to be retired someday. Maybe hopefully then I'll be, a great friend to somebody. But that's how we think, isn't it? Someday if I just had more. Well, when will that be exactly? Is the question. When will you have more time than you have now? I'm going to take you to a place, an old place in the Bible. And it's actually written, this part is written by Moses. I don't know if you know who Moses was, the let my people go guy. You know who that is, right? Let my people go. Charlton Heston looks a lot like Charlton Heston. Okay? And I'm going to take you to Psalms. Psalm 90. 90, Psalm 90. Psalm is a song. It's a prayer song, right? And some of these psalms are actually written by Moses. They're really old. And they were written by Moses as he had a lot of time to think about what the Lord wanted from his people and his life, and he's wandering through the desert, and it's all this time that he's got, and so he puts it to good use. He works at things that will help the next generation, and writing things down, archiving their history and all this stuff. And this is what Moses will tell you. Moses will tell you, you actually don't need more time. This is what Moses says. Listen to this guy. And this is raw. This is as real then as it is now. He says, the length of our days is 70 years or 80 if we have the strength. Yet their span is but trouble and sorrow. For they quickly pass and we fly away. Basically, we live to be something like 70 or 80 years old. And somehow the entire thing ends up going to trouble and then regret. We have trouble, all this stuff we got to react to, the stuff you got to respond to. Oh, the thing broke. Oh, the news says this. Oh, this might happen. You got all these things you got to react and respond and adapt to all the time. The whole time you're alive, you have all these things. And then there's this disappointment that happens. Why the disappointment? He says, that means because they quickly pass and we fly away. In other words, you start out in life thinking, I've got about this much time. That's a good amount of time, 70 or 80 years. That's a good amount of time. You have all these great intentions. I'm going to be this kind of a person. I'm going to be the kind of guy that does this. I'm going to be this kind of a leader, or this kind of a mom, or this kind of a person. And I'm going to be this kind of a friend. And, we're going to honor God in all these ways and do this ministry and all this stuff. And you start out that way. But somehow, in the midst of just responding and reacting to things your whole life, you get to the end of it, it's over. And you're left thinking, wait, what? Well, I thought I'd have more time. I thought I'd have more time. I was waiting till all of the trouble was gone and all of the bad news stopped hitting me so that I would have time to focus, and then there just wasn't any. It just didn't stop. Relatable much? Yeah. I told you this in public a while ago. I was watching this documentary of British nurses who worked with people who were passing. They're, end-of-life care workers. And they all said the same thing about their interactions with people. The most common thing that people at the end of life had to say in different ways and different times, and what was it? I wish I had more what? Time. I thought I'd have more time. It's like it always catches them by surprise. What? Wait, now? You mean now? This is it? Yeah. But what Moses tells you is that you're actually wrong. You're actually wrong to just think, if I had more time. It's not really the solution to change time or to hop out of the earth and get a bigger planet to put in front of the earth to slow it down. I actually thought about this. If we could just slow the earth down by 14%, we could get another day a year. A day a week, excuse me. Did you know that? If you want an 8th day, we could do that. We could slow the thing down, right, as it goes around the sun. Because you don't want to throw it off track, because then that's not so good. But if we could just do that, Moses says you're wrong. That's not even going to work. It's not going to do what you think that it would do. This is what he says. He says actually. First, he says, who knows the power of your anger? For your wrath is as great as the fear that is due you. In other words, we ought to fill whatever time we have thinking about being on the right side of a relationship with God. I mean, how can you quantify, how can you fathom what it is to be on the right side of God? You don't be on the wrong side. It's terrifying. But this is where he really gets into it. He says, teach us to number our days rightly, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. That's his prescription. Teach us to number our days rightly, that we may gain a heart of real wisdom. He's not out there in the desert praying for more time. He's saying, God, help us. Help us to get real and think real about how much time we actually have. Because it's not that long. It's just not that long. No, here's the thing about you. You think, if I had more time, then I would do all these other things. Here's the truth. Number one, if you had more time at the end of every day, you know what you would do with it? You'd sleep. You'd be like, oh, I'm done. I mean, who doesn't get to the end of their day and think, oh, I'm done? I was doing that the other day. I mean, work till dinner, and then I, eat the dinner, and then get the kids to bed, and then I'm going to make a phone call, and then I get to the end of all that, and I'm like, yeah, I would love a couple extra hours, but I don't know what I would do with them except sleep, because I'm done, But the other huge thing is that most of us, if we just had more time, it wouldn't change our attitude about life. In fact, the more time that you think you have, usually the less worked up you are about what you're going to do with it. The more you have, the more you waste. If you think you just have an endless amount of time, you'll just fritter it away on anything. Moses says the prescription is to get real about your time, to look at your time and say, you know what, it's about this much. Maybe I make it to 70 or 80 years old. Some people go beyond it, but, if you really think about your life in the terms of how long it actually is, and it could be much shorter, it starts to raise the heat up inside a little bit, I mean, if you had 1 or 2 years left, would you live it differently than you're living it now? You might. You should. When we teach ourselves, when God helps us to learn to number our days rightly, something happens inside, I mean, you start to look at things differently. Say, well, if I've only got 5 years, boy, I really want to just scroll Instagram? I mean, is that what I want to do? I mean, honest, do I really want to spend it watching the news? I don't know. I mean, maybe a little bit, but maybe not. Would I really spend as much time on this project that's been absorbing me? I mean, would I really spend this much on this over here? Or would I want to do what I actually think is the most important? And we all have things that are tugging on us. I'm telling you, many of us here, including myself, often feel like time is just pulling me around like a little cart behind a tractor. I just have to go wherever it says I have to be, and I got to do what it says I got to do when I get there. Many of you have a life kind of like that. You may not say it out loud, but you feel it inside. I have these things I think I really ought to do, but everything else, this time monster says, I got to go here, and then I got to go do this, and then I got to go do this, and then buzzer goes off, time's up. Oh, never got to do what I thought I should do. Think about the kind of community life that we've been talking about these several weeks now. And ask yourself, when will I have time for that? What I'd like to tell you is you have time for it right now. You have time for it. The time is right now. The church has never been more needed than right now. And as you and I are sitting at home doing whatever it is that we do home. Some of us don't sit at home very much. Some of us would like to. Some of us would love to do things a little differently. As you're thinking about what you think you should do spiritually to benefit yourself and take care of your heart inside and take care of the young people in your life and take care of others in the church, as you think about that, don't think about it in terms of, if I just had more time, then I would. Think about, what do I want to do right now, and do it. I've been on the same merry-go-round as everybody for the past couple of years. I mean, essentially. I don't have your life. You don't have mine. But it just seems like I get this vibe from people. They're all just sort of waiting for all of this to just kind of die down. And then, we'll kind of start working on where we want to go with life again. We're just waiting for some mysterious thing to happen. I don't know what the thing is. I don't know if the stars are supposed to come into alignment. I don't know if we're waiting for there to be several weeks where there really just is no news to report. I've been waiting for that for a while. I got news. Never gonna happen. Never going to happen. You're never going to get to a place in your life where there are just so few distractions available. It's not even tempting to just, what are we going to do about this? What about this? What if this happens? What if just responding and reacting to the latest gossip or the latest newsreels or whatever. I mean, it's just never going to happen. There will always be something just grabbing and reaching for you. Look at me. Look at me. It's not going away ever. In fact, I predict, and I'm not a prophet, okay? I predict not only will it not go away, it's going to spool up. It's going to spool up and spool up and spool up. More drama, more attention. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's going to spool up. If you're waiting on something in your life to just like cool off and get out of the way, and society and culture to be the way that you think it is supposed to be finally and all that stuff, I wouldn't wait for that. I really wouldn't. Paul the Apostle, in his letter, one of his letters, the Ephesians, he says this, he says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." In other words, you've got to be intentional about your time. You've got to grab it and say, time, you're going to do what I think I should do with you. You're not just hauling me all over town in a cart. This is my time that I've been given. I'm going to harvest it. Don't look at life like it's just, someday things will open up. I don't know if they will or not. But this is your time, and use it as every opportunity. There's an opportunity out there for you right now. And many of you are doing the opportunity right now, and I applaud you. I'm so happy for you. Some of you aren't sure. Some of you would just say, I don't know that I'm really making much use of opportunity right now. I don't know. I'm just kind of like stagnant in life or whatever. Make the most of the opportunities that are in front of you and around you to connect with people at a deeper level. You don't have a group? Make your own group. Find your own people. I mean, just invite a couple people over for coffee and run a little interview system or something and pick a couple of them and do more. I don't know. But you've got to get to a place where you can prioritize growing together with some other people. It's just got to happen, or you start to get all withery inside and sometimes kind of resentful and down on yourself. And then when you're down on yourself, you start to get down on everybody else. You project your moods on people. I can't stand myself, so I can't stand you either. It's your fault. This is how we gravitate. We gravitate to our lowest level in the absence of close fellowship. Paul says, make the most of every opportunity. There's an opportunity that you have to be closely connected with somebody somewhere now. It's not in 3 months when things die down or when the weather gets better or when, spring sports open up. I mean, the time is now. There's somebody that actually needs to hear from you in your life right now. Did you know that? There's some person in your life who desperately needs your encouragement that you can offer, and they need it right now. There's some young people somewhere that desperately need, although they would not say, I desperately need someone to invest in my life and care and be concerned, but that's actually what they need. They need someone to be desperately concerned and convicted and want to be there and be sincere and be interested and help boost them and show them things. I mean, somebody in your life needs you right now. I don't know if you're going to answer the call, but it's now that it's needed. It's not after the next election cycle. It's not after Corona disappears from our vocabulary. I mean, it's now. It's now. It says, make the most out of every opportunity because the days are evil. Put it this way. The days don't care. They don't care about you. People are going to be doing all kinds of craziness all over the place, all the time. So if you're waiting for that to just get out of your way, don't do that. You've got to be intentional. He says, therefore, don't be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. Understand it. Do you know what that means? It means to know it by experiencing it. You finally got your money's worth out of me. I told you a thing that helped you understand the Bible. That's what it means to know, in Paul's day, to understand it by experiencing it, to really know it for yourself. You got to do it. Get into it. He says, get into doing it. Get into it. Don't let it cool off. Get into it and practice it and discipline yourself to make sure you're always connecting with somebody. Always connecting with somebody, not just about anything, but about things that are important, the things that drive your life. The things that should drive your life, the things you're convicted about, the things you're not sure about, the doubts you sometimes have, the questions that pop up. I don't know where to get an answer. Those are the things you need to be connecting with other believers about. Just practice it, do it. This is God's will for your life. Don't be an island. What if you built your days like that? What if you built your weeks like that, always looking, how can I connect with somebody? How can I boost somebody? Maybe you don't use the word fellowship. How can I fellowship with somebody? Okay. How could I be there for somebody this week? How could I be there for a friend? How could I become friends with somebody this week if I'm a little low on the friend pile? How? How can I? If you're asking when, I think you're asking the wrong question. When? Now. Now. The time's now. This is the time. Because now there's somebody in your personal life. There's somebody who needs to confess something that's rotting on them from the inside out and is just keeping them in check all the time. There's a friend waiting to have coffee and have that encouraging conversation someplace. There's somebody waiting for that daily reminder that you actually care about them, that you actually think about their spiritual growth and you think about where they're headed and you want the best. There's somebody waiting right now. Now would be the time. What if you built your days thinking, now's the time? Go time. What if you woke up every morning and you're making your little plans? Said, okay, I know I've got to do all of these things, but what must I do today? What must I do to build myself with others? What must I do? You just picked like 3 things. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. You don't have to change the whole world in one day. What if you just picked a few? What if you picked 3 things at the beginning of your day and said, what must I do? I must do these 3 things. And it can't just be the chores. It can't be, I got to take the trash out. It's trash day. No. What must I do to build someone? What must I do to hear someone? What must I do to encourage someone? What must I do? Who must I talk with today to tell them something important? Time's now. The time is now. Who's waiting for you right now? There's a person with a name waiting for you. They don't even know it yet, but they're waiting for you. Who is it? Who is it? Let's pray for that person right now. Let's pray for that person. Lord, I ask you this morning, if you would show us a face today, show us a name, give us a little direction. We're kind of weak in this, and we got so many things to do. We got so many voices vying for our time. God, we want to sacrifice our time to the one and only God. Say, what must I do today? What must I do? Who must I call? Who must I message today? Who must I connect with? Who must I? What group of people? What team should I be with? What group of people can I become a part of? Who is it? And what do I got to do to build life together? In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. I appreciate your listening today. I have one more message about this next week. And I want you to know I need those nomination ballots. So if you have any of those kicking around, bring those on up. Actually, bring them to the studio because that's where I'll be. I will see you Wednesday night.